I've never been the kind of guy who needs to control a room. I like simple nights, quiet conversations, and the kind of love that makes you feel steady instead of dizzy. That's what I thought I had with Olivia. She was warm, funny, bright in that way that makes people orbit her without even trying. I'm not the jealous type, and she always said that was one of the reasons she loved me. So I didn't think twice when she asked me to come with her to a friend's birthday party at a loft in the short north in Columbus. She promised it would be low-key, mostly people she went to high school with. I figured it would be a good chance to finally put faces to all the names she'd mentioned, and maybe understand the life she had before me. But the second we walked in, I felt the shift. You know that feeling when a room seems normal, but your instincts whisper that something is off? That was the air that hit me. The music was loud. The drinks were cheap. And everyone seemed to know exactly who I was before I even introduced myself. "Oh, so you're the boyfriend?" a girl named Brooke said, drawing out the sentence like she was testing its weight. I forced a polite smile. "Yep, that's me." Olivia laughed it off, looping her arm through mine and pulling me toward the dance floor. "Ignore her," she whispered. "She's always dramatic." But the way people looked at us wasn't curiosity. It was expectation. And then I saw him, her ex, tall, smug, leaning against a wall like life had been designed specifically for his entertainment. His name was Mason, the kind of guy who acted like he was doing the world a favor by just existing in it. He and Olivia hadn't been together in years, but she always described him as immature, fun but chaotic, and someone she'd outgrown. I believed her. I wanted to. About an hour in, the playlist switched to older songs, ones they'd clearly all grown up with, and people started dragging each other onto the dance floor. I stayed near the kitchen island, sipping a drink and watching Olivia laugh with her friends. She looked happy and that made me happy. Then Mason walked up behind her. He didn't touch her, not yet, but he leaned in close enough that her hair brushed against his shoulder. She turned around, saw him, and didn't frown the way I expected. She smiled, small but familiar, like recognizing an old bad habit instead of a threat. He said something I couldn't hear, and she rolled her eyes in that playful way people reserve for someone they once knew too well. Before I could react, he took her hand and she let him. They moved to the center of the floor while everyone around them cheered. Someone shouted, "Just like old times!" And the entire room lit up with nostalgia that didn't include me. I tried to stay calm. I reminded myself that she loved me, that she chose me, that this was just harmless fun among people who shared a past. But then the beat changed. The song slowed. The lights dipped. And Mason moved closer, too close, sliding behind her with a familiarity that wasn't accidental. And she didn't pull away. His hands didn't touch her skin, but his body pressed against hers, guiding her hips as the crowd hooped and laughed. I felt something bitter rise in my throat. Disbelief first, then hurt, then a quiet anger that didn't know where to land. I made my way toward them, ready to pull her aside, ready to say something measured and calm before this turned into something uglier. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cause a scene. But when I reached them, Olivia turned her head, hair sticking to her cheek, eyes glazed from alcohol and nostalgia, and said the words that cracked something open inside me. "Babe, chill. We're just having fun." She said it like I was the unreasonable one. Like watching her grind on her ex in a room full of people who clearly enjoyed the show was something I should simply accept. I opened my mouth to speak, but I couldn't get a word out because that's when the front door slammed so hard the music cut. Every head turned. Olivia's dad stormed into the room, face red, jaw clenched, chest heaving like he'd sprinted up the stairs, and his eyes locked straight on us. For a full second, no one moved. Even the people who had been laughing the loudest froze like someone had snapped the party in half. Olivia stiffened in front of me as her dad's voice boomed across the loft. "Olivia, get over here." It wasn't anger born from controlling fatherhood. It was something deeper. Something protective and wounded and disappointed all at once. I'd only met him twice, but he struck me as the kind of man who believed in respect above everything else. And right now he wasn't seeing any. Mason let go immediately and stepped back, hands up like someone had pointed a gun at him. "Sir, hey, I didn't." "Shut your mouth," her dad snapped without even looking at him. The room shifted again. People who had been enjoying the show suddenly looked away, pretending they hadn't been cheering moments ago. Olivia stood frozen, eyes wide, Lips parted like she was trying to understand how things had escalated so quickly. "Dad, what are you doing here?" she finally whispered. "I followed your location," he said, still glaring at Mason. "Your mother called me crying because she heard you were out with him again." His emphasis on him cut through the room like a blade. Olivia swallowed. "It's not what it looks like." "Really?" he said coldly. "Because it looks like you're humiliating the man you claim to love." The words hit harder than anything I could have said. She turned toward me, guilt flooding her expression for the first time that night. "I wasn't trying to. But her dad wasn't done. I raised you better than this. You don't disrespect your partner. Not publicly, not privately, not ever. You don't tell your boyfriend to chill while you're pressed up against the idiot who broke your heart at 17. Mason flinched. Brooke covered her mouth. Someone muttered, "Damn." Olivia's eyes glossed with tears, but she stayed silent. Her dad shifted his gaze to me, and his expression softened just slightly. "Son, I'm sorry you had to witness this. You seem like a good man. Better than she was acting tonight." I didn't know what to say. My throat felt tight, and not from anger, from the way truth sometimes hurts even when you aren't the one being criticized. Olivia finally stepped toward me, reaching for my hand. "Can we just talk about this outside, please?" But her dad stepped between us, not aggressively but firmly. "Before you ask him to understand you, you need to understand yourself." "Dad, stop," she whispered, tears streaming now. "No," he said quietly. "You need to hear this. You don't get to play grown-up only when it's convenient. You told me you loved this man. You told me he made you feel safe. But you can't treat someone like a placeholder when an old distraction walks in." She buried her face in her hands. Someone turned the music off completely. The party was dead. Her dad looked at me again. "Do you want to stay here and talk to her? Or do you need space?" The question was so gentle it almost broke me. It felt like someone finally saw what I hadn't been able to admit. I was hurt deeper than I wanted to show. I took a breath. I need some air." Olivia reached for me again, panicked. "Please don't leave." "I swear it wasn't." I stepped back. Not fast, not dramatic, just enough to make my point. "I didn't come here to compete with your past," I said quietly. "And I definitely didn't come here to be embarrassed by it." Her sob was so small I almost didn't hear it. Her dad put a hand on her shoulder as I walked past them and headed for the door. Behind me, the room was silent except for the soft sound of her crying. Outside, the cold Ohio air hit my lungs like a reset button. I leaned against the railing of the stairwell, trying to steady my breathing. I wasn't angry anymore. I was disappointed in a way that sits heavy instead of hot. Footsteps approached. I expected Olivia, but it was her dad. He stopped beside me, hands in his coat pockets. For a moment, we both just stared out over the quiet street. "She's a good person," he said finally, voice low. "But she's reckless when she drinks, and she has a blind spot when it comes to people who once made her feel important." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. "You don't deserve to feel like an afterthought. If she wants to keep you, she has to grow up. And that's something she has to decide on her own." I exhaled slowly. I care about her a lot. But tonight, I shook my head. Tonight changed things. He put a hand on my shoulder. "Then let it change them. You're not responsible for her past. Only she is." The door opened behind us. Olivia stood there, mascara streaked, face trembling. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'll do anything to fix this. Just don't walk away without letting me try." The pain in her voice was real, but so was the line she'd crossed. And now the choice was mine.